Welcome, investigator. Evil is on the rise. Crime is escalating. Our mission is to eliminate the crime by exposing evil, examine why it manifests, and highlight the brave souls that confront it every day. Join us as we work together to bring justice to every victim. Welcome to All Things Crime. Here's your host, Jared Bradley.
This for me, I go, what am I going to be, undercover? He goes, no, we're not putting you undercover. We're going to put you in as an informant, which basically means you're not going to have any backup or anything. So if something happens, you're going to have to figure it all out on your own. But we need you to get information. And I thought to myself, are you shitting me? You want me to be a cop? And they're like, yeah. So I went home. And I thought, okay, whatever, that's what you need. And my mom and dad are sitting. I was at dinner, and I went to my dad, and I said, hey, I don't want to go back to school. It's just not for me. My mom kind of looked. My dad's like, what? What do you mean not going to go back to school? I don't go to, what the F are you going to do? Aiden, what are you going to do? And I go, well, I want to become a police officer. my dad hit the ceiling. So you're gonna be a flatfoot? You're gonna be a mother? Oh, you're not my son. Get out of here. Get the fuck. And I went, get out. He threw a fucking fork at me. So I went in the other room. My mom's like, "Ooh, Aiden, what are you doing?" I go, it's just not for me. But she goes, a cop? I go, yes. She goes, well, you know what? If that's what you want, then that's fine with me. I'll talk to your father. You just stay away. My dad's like, get the fuck out of this house. I ended up going to my uncle's. he ended up not being a happy camper either. And I went over and they just said, get on this department. And I got on the department. People ask me, what would have happened if you wouldn't have gotten on? Anybody who dealt with the government, they're not very forthcoming of what happens if you don't, other than, hey, this is what will happen to you. But there was never a discussion of what happens if you don't get on. It was get on. And I did at that time, if you were physically fit and you weren't an idiot taking a test, you can get on. And I got on. So after I went to the academy, after several months, I met up with the two frickin' idiots, and they're like, this is what we need. We have a guy in there. We think he's doing hits for a local, like a local crew for a mob. But I'm like, what? You're kidding, right? No. We want you to get close to this guy and get us information on him. And I'm like, you guys are fucking idiots. So there's some guy, you think he's hitting people for a crew, and you want me to get close, and with my background. Yeah. So you get in there, and they have the thing in law enforcement, which is a roll call. And I got on, and if you ever met a person that's the most abrasive personality you ever met in your life, and the first time you meet him, you just want to punch him. That was this idiot. Nobody liked him.
I had some drill sergeants like that.
Yeah, so, this guy was an ass. Nobody liked him, and I was sitting there when the guys that kind of got friendly with me. I go, man, I'm going to go ride with Terry. And everybody's like, yeah, that guy's a freaking dick. I don't know, he might be an okay guy. So I started hanging out with him, and, we would go out drinking after. Now, there was a part of my problem was this, but there was a start of my problem. He was a gulper. I don't know if you know what the term gulper means when he drinks. He didn't drink. He drank, and he would drink a beer in a matter of 30 seconds. Like, he was not drinking to enjoy the drink. He was just gulping it down. And this guy get pretty lit pretty quick. And he looked at me. I remember one night, and this was like several months I rode with him in a company. He looked at me, and we were drinking one night, and he goes, I know you. I'm like, okay. No, I know you. I know you. I go, good, because I know what you did. You ran with Eddie and them. I go, you know what? That's not, not like news that nobody knows. But, we don't need to talk about that shit. No, I got a crew here I'm running with out here. I'm like, that's good for you. Just shut the fuck up about it. I don't want to hear it. No, you got to tell me. I know. Now, I know shit you've done. No, I go, you don't know anything I've done. And he goes, let me tell you something. I'm working with this crew. I go, you know what? We all have our things we're working with. You can do your thing. I don't care. And then we got drinking, and then he starts telling me, he goes, there was a guy out there, they said they needed him taken care of, and I took care of him. I go, why are you telling me this shit? Oh, no, because I trust you did this. You know what I'm talking about. I go, and if I did, I wouldn't, don't talk about it. Just shut the fuck up. So one night we were drinking, his wife got pretty lit, and she's crying to me about it. She's telling me, oh, Aiden, he did this and this. I go, you need to shut the F about it. Nobody needs to know. You just need to deal with it. Shut up. That's his thing. And she's just like, she's losing her shit. And he's talking to me, and Terry's just telling me stuff. I go, I really don't care. But you know what? If you didn't, and he starts telling me, I go, well, what'd you do? You're going to be a big talker. And he's telling me how the guy blew his head off, and he was the first one on scene. Wow. Okay, you can get pretty kinky. You get your own shit. And I sat there, okay, and that was it. And I went and told, and I met up a couple weeks later with these two idiots. I said, hey, he told me we did. If you need me to testify, he goes, no, we don't want to testify. I go, you know what? But if you need it, pump the wife. She's done. She's already lost it. She's ready to talk. She can't take anymore. After several times, I have to keep telling her to shut up. But if you go over, she's going to turn like when to believe. If she comes to you, you can use it. And I go, if you need me to testify, I'm like, no, because that means you're one and done. We've got other things for you. Thank you for the information. They pumped his wife. She turned on him, and he ended up going to prison. So after that was done, I'm like, okay. I talked to him a couple months later. I get the phone call that he got arrested, that he was on. Everybody starts like, oh my God, you ran with him. And I go, I didn't know this shit. What the hell? So it's like the term rats when the ship sinks or leaving the ship. Well, several officers left. So they told me leave the department. And I'm like, okay. So it didn't look any. So I left. And they told me, go to this department and get on this department. And I'm like, the Bluffs? And they're like, yeah. And I go, I grew up there. That's where I grew up. That was their terror. They go, yeah, we know. We want you to get in a department over there. You guys are assholes. No. And they're like, no, do you have, does your go now? You're at the time I was like 22. And I still don't, but I thought, you know what? What do you want me to do? We got some things over there, same thing you're doing here. And I said, no, do it. And so I went over there, and I remember getting on, put my application, and I get called by the mayor. Now I know this clown. And he looks at me, and I show up, and there's the commissioner, and I look at him, and he's like, Aiden, how you doing? I'm like, yes, sir. And he go, yeah, you want to be a police officer out here? What makes you want to do that? Because, wait, you were at another department. Yeah, shit happened. I don't want to be there anymore. You get caught up in each shit when FBI or whoever shows up. Oh, I get it. We get it. But if you got an department here, are you going to follow the line? Are you going to toe the line? And, I go, yes, sir. You can do what you've been told? I go, yes, sir. Whatever you need me to do, I'm going to do. You know what? I believe you. You're good stock. We know you from your younger years. You know us. So yeah, you know what? We can use somebody like you. I said, yes, sir. Whatever you need me to do. So I got on that department, and my best friend growing up happened to be a police officer out there. His name's Don, and Don's like, holy shit, you want to get him in the department? I go, yeah. He goes, really? He goes, we were at so and so, and I go, yeah. This shit hit the fan, so I wasn't going to stick around with all the feds running around. He kind of laughed. He goes, well, you'll have fun here. You know everybody. And that's how that one started. And my years with them is where I took down. And the funny part is, I think that the whole reason that they did this to me is how do you get rid of snakes in the snake pit? You throw a snake in there. So you look like one of the idiots. And they trusted me. They knew me as a kid. They knew shit I'd done. And I would get information. I got them on several politicians, commissioners, and police officers. And they ended up going to prison. And at that point, that was that part of my life where I was when I did that. And the funny part is they didn't make it they didn't make it hard. There was several times that they would point guns at me. A couple, I'm like, what are you doing here? Like, there's one time we were walking up the back, and one of the chiefs one of the top lieutenants, looked at me as we're going upstairs, and I turn around. I'm on the bottom stair. He turns at me, and I'm looking straight down the Glock, right through. I could see the riflings, and he's like, "What the fuck are you doing here?" And I looked at him, and I said, I had to think, and my thinking that came to mind is, "What are you doing, motherfucker?" I go, "I know you growing up." He's like, "I know. What are you using?" I heard what happened in the other apartment. I go, "What the fuck happened there? I wasn't involved in any of that shit." I go, "But let me explain something. I know you, and you were, I was part of a machine, and you were a cog. You could be replaced at any time, but I was a machine. If something happened with me, the machine could break down. You were jealous and wanted to be one of the nice. If you want to pull that trigger, pull that motherfucking trigger. Sorry, but pull the trigger and find out. I'm sure you get away, but see how far you get. Remember who people I know. You know who I know. So if you want to play this game, let's play. I got my own shit I'm doing here. I got my own things going on. You worry about what you want to do. I'm going to worry about what I want to do. And then we'll get along happily. Stay out of my way, I'll stay out of yours." And he looked at me and goes, all right, all right. And we went upstairs. And they were sitting there talking. I guess the commissioner came up in there. My buddy Don was getting something up there, and he heard them talking. And he came to me after, he goes, "Hey, frickin' so-and-so and commissioner were talking. They were saying that you were going to toe the line, do all this. What the hell does that mean?" And I'm like, "Don, I don't know. I told him I'd be a good, good police officer and stuff like that." And they go, "Oh, okay." The funny part is I got a lot of information from Don. Don would get information, not knowing he was giving me information. I told him about that. We had a talk about 6 years ago. He never knew. He kicked the shit out of me when he found out that I used them for information to put these guys in prison, because he knew these guys.
Oh, bad.
But Don and I talk 4 times a week, and we were best friends growing up, and he forgave me. He understood. And that's really my second part. The third part, I went to a casino. They wanted me to check these guys. I go, "These guys are a bunch of frat boys. Nobody's doing anything illegal here." And then it got to the point after close to 15 years total, they came to me now, throughout all this, I got injured, I got hurt. Several times somebody attempted to shoot me. They did shoot me. But when you read the book, you'll see what happened in that part. And Don saved my life with that one. And, I got stabbed a couple times. And I was a police officer and I was younger. And I survived all that shit. But throughout this whole time doing this, after I started on my first time with Terry, I started becoming an alcoholic. And I became a gulper. I got to the point that, when you have the family, you don't go against the family. So I was having issues with that, but I never said anything against them. But then when you get in law enforcement, you got this thing called the blue line. You don't cross the blue line. You got these blinders on, almost. You don't go against your brothers and sisters in law enforcement. And I don't know if you understand what I mean by that.
Oh, I totally do. Absolutely.
And I was getting these bad dreams. I became a bad alcoholic. And I never was afraid to die. I've never been afraid. I'm going to tell you this day, no man, no supposed ghost beings that's ever scared me. Only 2 people in my life have scared me. That's my mother. She scared the shit out of me. Later on, I found out why. There was something about her. And then my current wife, she scares the shit out of me. So those are 2 people that always scared me over my life. And I got to the point that I was binges, just drinking binges. And I remember seeing vividly the St. Michael with the flaming sword going, "You have betrayed your brothers, sisters," and coming at me and swiping at me and say they're going to kill me, that they're attacking me, that you've betrayed, you're lower than whatever, you're just horseshit. And they're swimming at me, and I do this. And I remember, I don't know, I'm going to say a couple hundred times, I had a 357 Magnum. I would put a round in there and spin the chamber and block it and pull the trigger. Put it in my head, put it in my mouth, underneath my chin. It never went off. And I know of at least a couple other times that I woke up with the gun next to me, 2 or 3 rounds in there. And I was trying to kill myself. But for some reason, God said, you are not going to die. We've got other things for you. So that whole time in there, betraying the blue line, that's where the book's name, Conflicting Loyalties, came from, because it did. My whole life was basically, I was told you can't tell anybody. You can't tell your parents. The minute somebody finds out, you're going to jail. You know, and then when I started doing law enforcement and learned, okay, they're kind of full. I thought, oh my God, I'm doing good. I'm getting rid of these bad guys. They shouldn't be doing what they're doing. And some of the things I see them done, okay, are a little worse. Some of the things maybe I've done, you know. And I thought I was doing good, but this betrayal of betraying police officers. So, and the way you look at it, and you've been doing you talk a lot of detectives and stuff. One bad police officer makes 100,000 good ones look bad. That's how the media portrays it. That one bad one, oh, they're all bad. They're all bad. No, until you walk. Everybody needs to go and walk in the shoes for one day of a police officer in a big city and see the shit that they got to go through to understand why that's a high suicide rate. I mean, I tried killing myself, but I did it because thought I was betraying everybody.
Oh, I tell people all the time, Aiden, that you know what? Until you've actually gone on a ride along and actually seen what these guys go through, uh, don't criticize them. I mean, I'm not sure how many other episodes you've listened to or seen out of this podcast, but I interview detectives and people that walk the line all the time, and all of these guys, in my opinion, just by putting on the uniform, deserve an initial level of respect, and then obviously how they act from there. There's always going to be bad ones, but for the most part, like what you said, the vast majority of them are good guys, and they just being willing to put on a uniform, especially in today's society and this environment that they're in now. It's never been more hostile to law enforcement, and so yeah, I'm a huge advocate for law enforcement, but yeah, you know what, they got to work hard to weed out the bad ones, but the rest of them are just good people.
Yeah, I
Just trying
agree
to do
with
a
you.
job.
I agree with you. I'm a bad. I mean, yeah, putting on that uniform is a big responsibility. And people don't understand the cesspool of life that they deal with. There's good and there's bad. You know, I learned that. I learned that being on the streets and doing. I still did the job, but I was doing other things on the side. And you're right. It's maybe of the very bad ones, maybe 1% of all the law enforcement in the whole United States. Then you got some of them that I guess you can say, with the authoritative that they have, they abuse that part of it. They abuse their authority, and that's another maybe 10%, if that. 5% of all law enforcement in the United States. But that's what everybody goes after, those small percentages. They don't understand the brothers and sisters, what they do. It's almost like my friends that were military. I was never in the military, but the things that, what I don't get in society is how the military and their ex-veterans are treated. You get put in there. I had friends of my Marines, and I talked to them, and they teach them kill, kill, kill. Go out there and kill, kill. And then when you're done, go be a normal person in society. After we taught you to do nothing but kill people.
Yeah.
And then they're not understood. And then they wonder why they have problems and get hooked on drugs or have psychological PTSD. It's because of what they've seen, what they've gone through, But people who haven't done what they did are crucifying them as if they're all bad. And they're not. The military veterans are we need to respect them in law enforcement, first responders, because without them, the chaos would be here. We wouldn't be where we are today if it wasn't for that. And I don't understand how people go and get that. I understand. I did bad things. I was a bad person growing up.
Mm-hmm.
I get that. I mean, I was not a good father. I wasn't a good husband to my first wife. And I'll admit that, but she wasn't the greatest either. So, but that doesn't mean any. But, when I came out of the dark into light, and I see this, but I think that, nowadays, I met the love of my life. She's kind of straightened me out. And my whole life, my buddy Don, who went to a Catholic school, said, "Hey, you need a religion." I used to say, "Screw you. Religion is stupid." I usually say, I work for the other guy, I collect souls for the other guy. And then one day I was having night terrors. I was throwing my wife around at night, not hurting her, but just putting her down, handcuffing her, screaming, punching the wall, bad night terrors. She called Don and my buddy Sam, said, "You guys, hey, these are my two best friends. You got to come talk to him. There's something going on with him." And that's where all this with the book came out. And my buddy Don came as long as he could, and we talked. He found out about 80% of everything. That's where he found out, kicked the crap on. We had our little love session. And then my buddy Sam showed up, and he stayed a little bit longer. But Sam was a very religious person. And they said, "Hey, read this book." I'm like, "I don't read great." "Don't give a shit. Try read it. Even have Sabrina read it to you." Sabrina goes, "I'll read it with you." Because I have dyslexia. There was my issues at school. And so I read it. It was a Baha'i faith. And I read it, and I'm thinking to myself, what is this? And then, Baha'i faith, men and women are equal. In some Catholic and whatever, women are subservient to the man. In a Baha'i faith, everybody's equal. Even, if you're even Catholic, but you're black, white, pink, purple, green, or whatever, we all bleed red. So we're all one. I never really believed that. But now reading this, I'm reading, okay. And one day I'm reading it, doing it myself. I'm out in our backyard, and it's sunny. And I look up and I felt something. And I'm like thinking to myself, what is this? Ooh, I felt something inside. I come inside, and Sabrina goes, "What's wrong?" I go, "Nothing. There's a feeling I have." She goes, "You're reading the book." I go, I got this feeling. I hate this feeling. This sucks. I don't want this feeling. I don't know what the hell this is going on, but I don't like the way I feel inside. "What do you feel?" So I go, "A warmth." I don't know. I can't describe. And so I kept reading. She goes, you're getting faith. You're getting spiritual." I'm like, "Go to hell." I kept reading, and then I believe in the Baha'i faith. And I became very spiritual and understood that, what, we can redeem for what we've done. But eventually I'll have to get in front of somebody, and whatever my next life or whatever my next as plain as the Baha'is put it, that I have to work harder to be a better person because I put myself here, and I understand and I accept that. But I learned all that. I mean, my life went from one end to the other end. Coming out of the dark into the light. Um, you know, Basically, I was in the shadows doing things that you shouldn't be doing. And then coming back, learning that, what, law enforcement's good. They're out there. They're protecting us. Without them, this place would be anarchy. And I've come to where I am now. I found I have ALS, and I always put down that, God wouldn't let me kill myself. They got a sense of humor. We're going to not let you kill yourself so you can have ALS and feel like when you pass, what that's going to be like. That fun part of your life's just coming. And I thought, I accept it, and God's got a sense of humor that, what, you will pay for what you've done. And with ALS, it's going to eventually destroy me. And I understand it, and I have accepted it. So that's kind of my story in a nutshell. Really kind of a up and down, screwed up life. But again, I would never change it. I don't have any regrets because I will not be where I'm at today. I may have changed some things that I've done, may have not done, but as far as everything else, I am at a peaceful acceptance right now.
Thanks for joining us. Your attention today brings us one step closer to exposing and eliminating the evil that brings crime to our communities. Hit subscribe and share this episode. Together, we will bring justice to every victim.